BLM rioters stormed the Oklahoma Capitol yesterday, protesting several GOP-backed bills, including a bill that aims to protect police and their families from doxing. The rioters disrupted the legislative session there for several minutes until Oklahoma patrol escorted them out. Nobody in the media called this an insurrection, by the way. Joining me now to discuss is President of Convention of States, Mr. Mark Meckler. Sir, thank you for being here. A few states are taking action against rioters. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis paving the way by, proposing a bill, anti-rioting bill. I understand the left-wing state governments have been generally supportive of these violent left-wing riots, but what's the excuse for GOP states?
I don't think there is an excuse. I look at Ron DeSantis and I see America's governor. I wish he was the governor of all of America. Like, I'm from Texas. We're not seeing measures like this where it is unequivocal in Florida that the governor and the government generally will clamp down on rioters. You riot, you do damage, you do violence, you're going to pay for that. When I see the picture of those folks going into the Oklahoma legislature, it's as much of an insurrection as anything we saw at the United States Capitol. It's outrageous. The Democrats are pursuing mob rule, and this is a very dangerous thing all across the country right now.
It is, and in that vein, reminiscent of the KKK in the Democrat Jim Crow South, the Democrat socialist Maxine Waters captured on video inciting violence to put pressure on jurors in the Derek Chauvin case. Yet the Democrats supported and protected her. And the best the GOP came up with was censure, not impeachment. What message are they sending?
I think that the Republicans are sending a message that they're weak on this stuff. Again, I think the only person really, truly leading the way on this is Ron DeSantis. He's making very strong statements, and the legislature there is taking very strong action. Maxine Waters is a disgrace to the United States Congress. She should be removed from her seat. She absolutely was fomenting violence. She was fomenting the idea of mob rule. In other words, her goal in being there in Minneapolis, not her state, the goal was to cause the jury to rule in a particular way. That's been the goal of the Democrats all year long before this trial. I think the results of this trial, unfortunately, it's sad, but they're going to be overturned because, again, this was not rule of law. This was mob justice.
No kidding. And not me saying that was Alan Dershowitz, a lifelong Democrat, who said we haven't seen the likes of what Maxine Waters did since the KKK in the Jim Crow South. Number one question I'm asked is, how do patriotic Americans fight the violence, fight the lawlessness, and the left-wing extremism that we're all being forced to endure? The first thing out of my mouth is support Convention of States. Give folks a bit of a refresher course on this and how they can get states involved that maybe have not signed on to the current effort.
I appreciate that, Chris. I think it's really important. I'm here in North Carolina right now. It just passed out of a House committee here. And the entire purpose of this is to take power away from Washington, D.C., regardless of party, and return it to the people in the states. People can go to conventionofstates.com. They can click on the tab to sign the petition, and then ultimately click on the Take Action tab, because what we have to do, you and I and all your listeners, is we have to take action. We talk, and it's good to talk, but we've got to do more than that. We've got to show up in the legislatures. We've got to demand change. We've got to vote for change. We've got to run for office. We've got to be on our city councils and our school boards. If we're going to change this country, if we're going to take it back, it's going to be up to us to act.
How many states do we need to call the convention?
It takes 34 states to call the convention. So far, 15 states have called it. It looks like I said, here in North Carolina, it could be number 16. South Carolina is really close. So hopefully within the next few weeks, we'll be halfway to that 34 mark.
And do you have a favorite of the amendments that you like that would be proposed in a convention?
Yeah, I do. For me personally, if we could pull it off, I'd love to see the repeal of the 17th Amendment. That's the direct election of senators. Senators were intended to be appointed by their state legislatures. This was an important balance point for the founders so that they could represent the state's interest in Washington, D.C. So I'd love to see them go back to that system again.
I vacillate between a balanced budget amendment and a balanced budget amendment, or what was the other one I was looking at? Balanced budget amendment is always, term limits. How could I forget term limits? Term limits, they go between 1 and 2. It just depends on what's going on in the country. Mark Meckler, appreciate the time as always, sir. Here's what's trending at the bottom of the hour. Joe Biden refuses to confront China about Democrats' religion of man-made global warming. Biden gave a speech with world leaders for Earth Day. Biden promised to harm the U.S. economy by irresponsibly ordering the U.S. to cut carbon emissions in half by 2030. Biden said America's economy needed to suffer to preserve the planet for a better future for all of us. However, China is the leading CO2 emitter in the world. Biden said nothing about stopping the communists from emitting massive amounts of the greenhouse gas, a gas that Biden and Democrats claim will lead to irrevocable environmental damage to the earth in just 9 years. The House passed a bill that would make Washington, D.C. the 51st state after a contentious debate on the issue. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says this was a big day for American democracy. Democrats argue that statehood is a necessary step for civil rights, and D.C. residents need representation in Congress since they pay taxes. Democrats claim GOP objections are, you guessed it, racist. Watch.
One of my House Republican colleagues said that D.C. shouldn't be a state because the district doesn't have a landfill. My goodness, with all the racist trash my colleagues have brought to this debate, I can see why they're worried about having a place to put it.
Why don't you just annex it to one of the surrounding states? That'll solve the problem, right? Plenty of representation. D.C.'s status is clearly defined as not a state in the United States Constitution. As with all things Democrat socialists do, they are pushing to violate our founding document. Amazon is testing new pay-by-palm technology, say that 3 times fast, at Whole Foods stores near its Seattle headquarters. The new tech, which Amazon is calling Amazon One, will allow shoppers to scan their palm and connect it to a credit card or Amazon account. Will be installed at several nearby stores in the coming months, although its future outside of the area around Amazon HQ is unclear. Amazon says thousands of users are already using pay-by-palm. And New York Governor Andrew Cuomo refuses to answer a question on whether he will resign after the state attorney general reviews 9 sexual misconduct harassment claims against him. Cuomo says that he wants to see what the report says, and he will have a comment at the appropriate time. Women have made accusations against the New York governor, which he has denied. Many top Democrats also calling for the governor to resign.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.